Yo, what's good? Today we have the X2F. That's what this video is going to be about. This is a beta prototype for a fingertip shaped mouse from Pulsar. I don't know when this is planned on being released or any of that stuff, how many changes are meant to be done to this mouse before it hits, final production and stuff, but these are essentially just going to be first impressions on the mouse. I don't have too much to go off of here because there's not much information on the mouse yet, and obviously we don't really know where this is going, but these are just going to be essentially my thoughts on it. Starting out, it's obviously a fingertip shape. You absolutely could never palm grip this mouse. Um, there are ridges that kind of extend up. It's not going to be comfortable. Could you claw it? Kind of, but you're going to be clawing it with no palm contact. So shape wise, it's really like a fingertip, relaxed fingertip grip shape mouse. You can kind of you can like aggro claw fingertip it too. Honestly, really nicely. Um, the weight is around 42 grams in that ballpark, 40 to 42 grams. And it doesn't feel like that like at all. Honestly, it feels pretty balanced to me, and that really helps the overall weight because balance kind of matters more than the overall weight. I'm never like when picking this up to make, to LOD it, I'm never really experiencing any like, oh, I wish this was lighter. It's very effortless to me. Could they probably get it down into like, for a lot of like the enthusiast fingertippers, like into the 30-gram range? I don't know. Because if we start talking about the build quality here, this thing is built like an absolute unit. I mean, this thing is like, I shit you not, it's got to be one of the most well built mice I've ever touched in my life. It's made out of carbon composite. So it's not magnesium. It's like some carbon composite material, and this thing is literally just. I mean, it's built so well. We're not going to talk about how many dots I have on the bottom of this mouse. There's no flexing or creaking or shifting anywhere on this mouse. So the build quality is phenomenal. Um, the clicks are awesome too, all around the board. Like the side buttons sound pretty good. They're very tactile. They're very easy to hit. Um, the placement of them is pretty easy to just kind of upward roll your thumb to hit either of them, so you don't have to reposition your thumb very much. They feel nice. No like side play at all. No, uh, pre or post travel almost to speak of at all on the side buttons. Scroll wheel is pretty nice. It feels pretty similarly to the X2 Crazy Light, which is like one of their more recent releases. Doesn't feel quite as rubbery in terms of the texture of the scroll wheel, but it's pretty grippy, maybe a little more slippery. MMB is, I would say that's one of my cons, is it's a little too hard to trigger the actuation on the middle mouse button. It's nothing that's deal breaking to me, but it's definitely something that's noticeable, especially for like, you're typically using relatively light tension when you're fingertipping on a lightweight mouse. You don't want to be like pressing the MMB in and it be too hard to press to where like you're literally shifting the mouse in place. It's almost at that level, so I think they can loosen up the tension on that. The main clicks are really quality. I can't get them to side shift at all. They are, maybe they're not heavy, but they're maybe like they also could be a little lighter, especially if you're going to be like fingertipping back here. It's not really balanced well tension wise in the back. It's actually fairly hard to actuate the button back here. Uh, there are these thumb grooves on M1 and M2 that are really um, nice, and overall the shape like really nestles your fingers into place. Just give you a little better idea of kind of like the side curvature of the mouse. It's kind of, it's honestly kind of nice. It really like nestles your fingers into place. The coating on it's also awesome. I struggle with coating sometimes, but this thing is very grippy. I mean, it doesn't look like it is, but it's. I mean, this thing does not. Your fingers just don't even slip or budge, even if they're like really dry. Um, I'd say there's people that have been complaining in like their feedback forums about how these arches kind of like like extend out and like you can feel them, but I don't feel them at all. Like there is this much when I fingertip this mouse. I do have very large hands and long fingers, but when I fingertip this mouse, I never feel those. There's a huge gap in between those. I have to get to about this high up on the mouse to feel those. And I'm not going to grip the mouse like this. So that might be something people run into. A lot of people are suggesting that they kind of get these closer down to the PCB, which goes down to about here. So kind of like shortening the mouse even a little bit more. It's not too big of a mouse, obviously. This is how he has to. But it's also like, it's a medium-sized mouse for like a fingertip shape. It's got decent length to it if you have long fingers. And yeah, it's like, it looks really cool. It uses their XS1 sensor, their most recent sensor. There's like no real software for this thing yet. But I think like overall the shape of this is probably my most enjoyed fingertip shape to date. It just really like nestles your fingers into place for like a more relaxed fingertip, but you could definitely like aggro fingertip this thing. And I genuinely think that it really feels like they put more effort and love and passion into this mouse than potentially any other Pulsar mouse I've ever seen them release. And I've tried pretty much all of their mice. I'm not sure what kind of clicks they're using on this. You can kind of see the click switches in there. The clicks feel really good. Like the click feel is, I like the click feel more than the Crazy Light, and I don't get side play or anything or pre or post travel. I think they're the best clicks to date. Even if it's using the same switches, the implementation on this is pretty fucking good. This mouse is a very nice fingertip option. I think it's when this comes out, this is definitely going to be like one of the best fingertip mice on the market. So it's definitely something to keep your eye out for. One con that I did notice personally is my battery life personally on my copy kind of sucks. If I use it, like, let's say I'm off and I'm gaming all day, I do, like, the battery indicator light will literally start flashing by the end of the session. Like, I'm talking like one long gaming session. I don't know if it's supposed to be that bad, but it's that bad for me. I'm only getting like 15 hours on this thing, and I'm using 1K polling rate too. So there's something, I don't know if there's something with my copy or something with the firmware or software that they have to fix, but my battery life is kind of poop. So that's something to note. But yeah, the overall design is really cool. It might not look that comfortable, like just looking at it, but it is pretty nice. Another thing I wanted to touch on though is the base. So you can't really tell. Also, once again, we're completely ignoring the fact that I have like 73 dots on this mouse. The reason I did that is because my copy has base wobble on it. I don't get that on cloth, but I do get it on glass. But I had to put this many dots on it for it to stop doing that. I was being told by friends that also have it, and people in the Discord, that there are screw posts, and if you loosen or tighten, like I think they're right here, I have dots over them right now, that it does fix that, and it did fix that for them, but that is something that other people had. Another problem I have with the base is there's this lip around the corner dots, right? I think that should be completely removed. I think that you can't really like place dots that well depending on the size of the dots because of that. So that's something that I hope that they change. Maybe even just add more room for dots like of this size. These are pretty normal sized dots. So, but other than that, I'd say this is definitely something that I've been really enjoying, and I'm excited to see kind of what they cook up with this thing, because so far this thing is awesome. And yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope that I kind of covered everything that you guys wanted to hear about this thing. I can't really think of too much else. I mean, obviously the sensor performance is fine. Literally, like, basically everything about the mouse is S tier outside of those cons that aren't game breaking for me. And I'm interested to see how the final unit comes out. Peace.